Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of BC Buckets. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Today, Colin, we have a pair of older guards, kind of combo guards, I'd say, that are going to be interesting picks, either late first, early second. Tyrese Proctor, Jr. out of Duke, and Hunter Sallis, a senior out of Wake Forest. Proctor was at Duke all 3 years. The first 2 years was more of a point guard, or at least had the ball in his hands a lot more. And then this year, where they have Knipple and Flag and so on, he played more off-ball role. Sallis spent the first 2 years at Gonzaga coming off the bench, and then went to Wake Forest and lit it up really the last 2 years. 18 points per game both the last 2 years. Was really effective there. Do you have – actually, I always ask you which one you have higher.
Okay.
You can ask me which one I have higher. Go ahead.
Which one do you have lower?
I have Sallis lower.
Okay, I have Sallis lower too.
I have Sallis lower.
Okay, let's
Proctor.
ask this question instead. Do you think both of these players can't have a role in the NBA?
Tyrese Proctor is going to have a role in the NBA. Tyrese Proctor is a first-round grade. And by first round, I mean he's number 30 on my board. So
Okay.
Shout out to Tyrese Proctor.
That's a fair one. I thought you were gonna actually go with what I said pre-show and go 21 or something like that.
No, but I do like Proctor quite a bit, because the crux of my Proctor argument is I think he's going to be – I do not have a high ceiling for Proctor at all.
Agreed.
But I actually think there's a lot of ways in which this works in the NBA, because he has experience playing on ball, like I said, at Duke. Like, it's not like he's playing at a low major school. So 2 years of doing that. This past year played off of Flag and Knipple and Malawach, and was really, really good in a reduced role, and played smart, played under control, shot the lights out of the building. And I think all of that translates to being a versatile player and being able to just fit in wherever he needs to at the NBA level. And honestly, like I didn't even mention, like, his off the dribble two number, like, he was 57%. Both these guys are actually really good on off the dribble twos, which is interesting. Like, mid-range game, they're both really good. But like Proctor, to me, the shooting and then also the secondary creation ability. Like, no one's going to expect him to come in and be like, he needs the ball in his hands. Like, I think he can do a lot without the ball, as a mover, as a guy who can attack secondary closeouts and so on and so forth. So I like Proctor as either a really, really good off the bench guy, or like, potentially down the road as an off guard of like like playing next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, playing next to a ball dominant guard. Like, he's that other guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, off the dribble catch and shoot threes, like, it's going to go in. It just hits deep threes. He has 13 threes made from deeper than 25 feet. There's the stat for you.
I didn't know that.
I mean, it's just his 3-point shooting is what is putting him so high on my board. And then also, like you said, that secondary, not necessarily creator role, but he's able to, he's almost like a gadget guard where you can fit in a bunch of different places. And then sometimes, depending on how small the other team's lineup is, like, he could maybe go out to a wing type role for a little while, just because he is, what is he, 6'6" with a 6'7" wingspan. So, and he's not like a negative on defense. I don't think he's like some defensive stopper. Like, I've seen comparisons to Derek White. I don't think he's that good of a defender, but I think that, like you said, he can shoot the ball. He's played a lot of different roles. He can play on ball. He can play off ball. He's not going to break you down as a offensive player, but he doesn't need to. So, I think he's just going to be a really solid NBA player. And to go back to our last episode where you made a comp to him, I think I don't necessarily think that they play exactly the same or anything like that, but like a Gary Trent Jr. in terms of like what his impact on a game could be. Like, he can score 25 on a night sometimes, or he might score 8, but it's just, he's kind of be that guy that can knock down some shots for you.
Yeah, and to bring it into our verses here, like, that's the separating skill between these two, because honestly, like, Sallis does a good amount of things, I'd say, better than Proctor. Like, he's a better athlete, I'd say, overall than Proctor. And I think with the ball in his hands, he's more dynamic than Proctor. The problem is, which is so weird, because I remember his first year at Wake Forest, he shot 40% from three. And I remember watching him and being like, damn, this dude's good. Like, I'm like really, really sold on him. So the hope for him coming back to Wake Forest for another year, because he was someone that thought about entering last year, the hope was that he would obviously become more efficient and everything would come easier. And it just kind of didn't. Like everything
Mhm.
stayed the same, and then he shot worse. And so it was just kind of more of the same. So it really makes you question, like, how much more is there here? Because honestly, last year was really the outlier season from three. The other 3 years he shot sub 30%. So I don't know. Like that's the main difference here is Proctor is going to be able to play off ball. Sallis, without being able to shoot at a consistent level, needs the ball in his hands, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough juice here for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny too because he shoots 80% from the line. So
Yeah,
it's like what happened between this
like
year
I
and
want to
last.
project it because the shot's not ugly either,
Mhm.
and I don't know. He has like flashes of doing it like off the dribble and stuff, but and he makes off the dribble twos, like I mentioned, like 52% on mid range pull ups. Like he's hitting shots, but the 3-point shot for 3 out of his 4 years wasn't good enough, and that gives me pause.
Yeah, and it's hard too because you mentioned that I mean, he was the guy at Wake Forest, so he had the ball in his hands constantly. Like he's a good creator. I almost thought of him as like an old school, like he's just a big guard that's gonna basically death by elbow mid range shots. Um,
Yeah.
he's very physical, 63% at the rim. Likes to finish above the rim a lot if he can. So like
Hmm.
I really liked him offensively. Defensively, I think, he could be a good defender, but he definitely is underweight. He's like 180 pounds, I think, 181
Both these
pounds.
guys are pretty skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is
Um,
it? Proctor's 185, Salas 181.
yeah.
So
So they're gonna get overpowered, especially Hunter if he plays more on the wing instead of that guard position. Um, so yeah, it's harder to project a role for him because unless he has the ball in his hands, I don't really know what he could do off ball. I mean, he can cut, but if he's not going to defend at a high level and he's just going to not be able to hit threes, what are you really drafting him for or have him on the court floor for?
yeah, and another reason he slips is honestly, like I think Proctor is a better passer than him.
Mhm.
And Salas, what frustrates me with him is he looks like a really good athlete, but he doesn't get to the basket as much as I want him to. That's actually one of my main gripes. He shot 62% at the rim in the half court, but then you look at it and he only got to the rim 63 times in the half court. And he just doesn't have that burst where you're like, oh, here he goes, turning the corner, getting to the basket. That was a real problem. And not to say, again, to keep it in the comparison sakes with Proctor, like Proctor only got to the rim 55 times, and was 51% at the rim. But like, I think at the very least, Proctor can shoot it and attack closeouts. Salas, you're going to have to earn those closeouts. And if not, you're doing a lot in ball screens and so on. And if you can't like attack a big and like get them on their heels or something like that, and then also in transition, he's not dynamic. I'm really, really struggling to see like how this translates in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean I completely agree with you. It's harder because what you want with these late first rounders, early second round players is to either have really high upside or really high floor. And I think Hunter Sallis isn't really checking either of those boxes. So, whereas Tyrese Proctor does. So,
Yeah, again, I at least see the role player aspect of Tyrese Proctor fitting in really nice. And Sallis, ideally, honestly, I forgot to write down a comp for him. So we'll go with whatever your comp is here. But like, ideally, is like an off the bench guy that can lead a second unit whenever your starting guard or your star guard isn't on the court. Like maybe he can get there, but I think there's honestly like a ways to go before we even do that right now.
yeah.
I'm looking through to see if I can find a comp just on the fly real quick. Do you have one off
Yeah, I
top
have two comps actually.
for Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear.
DeMar DeRozan
Okay,
and Andrew Wiggins.
okay. I can see the DeMar one, like play style wise.
Yeah.
Um, Wiggins is
Wiggins is
interesting.
a little bit more projecting, I guess, if he becomes more rim threat and gains a little bit of weight, I guess.
Neither one is neither of these players is a great defender.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know who I'd lean towards in terms of like who I'd rather have. Oh, I found one. What about like a no? Because I was gonna say Blake Wesley, but Blake I
Mm.
think got to the rim a little bit more.
He was also
But
in
like,
transition
Yeah, Blake was a better athlete.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly here. But yeah, that type of guy here where he needs to put on weight and he needs to be a little bit more dynamic. He's just not right now. So yeah, Sallis is going to be fairly probably outside top, probably in like the 40 range, 40s, somewhere around
Mm.
that for me. Proctor, like I said, at 30, and I actually feel pretty good about him at 30 because then, I have him in a similar realm of like a Walter Clayton, of a Duthiero, like so on and so forth,
Mhm.
of those guys in my late first round. So, all right, anything else?
We didn't do our comps for
Oh yes,
Tyrese.
comps for Tyrese. I actually like my comp for Tyrese here. Monte Morris.
Mm, I like
I
that
think
comp.
that's absolutely perfect. Just a guy who can shoot threes, can kind of handle it, plays off ball, can play off of the Jamal Murray and Jokic, but then also can handle the ball a bit. Monty Morris is my pick here.
I put Spencer Dinwiddie. I like yours better though.
I don't hate Dinwiddie. I don't hate that, especially like as like an upside, the upside of Proctor. Like if everything works
Mhm.
out, I could see it. All right. That's all we got for y'all today. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Let us know what you think down below. Who do you got here in these battle of the late first round, early second round guards? Check out the other videos on our channel if you haven't already, and we will talk to y'all later.